Good morning and happy Sunday, everybody. I probably should have checked to make sure I don't have any upside down cards. I am missing a card behind me here as I'm bringing it to the National with me. If you can figure out what that card is, comment it. Why might be bringing it to the National? I don't have anything you're going to win, but other than my respect. This is my Sunday, every Sunday morning, except next Sunday, clearing the bases, where I cover all the news. And there is a ton of news this week about sports cards and the hobby and things that are happening around. Some of it's crazy. We're going to start with something fun this week, and then we're going to get to the meat, and then we're going to get to the other fun stuff that we end with. But I don't usually start with fun stuff. I am going to this week, as well as a couple of updates on past videos. As always, throw comments in. Let me know what your thoughts are on any of these items. I'm going to share my screen here, and we are off. All right. Well, okay, that's going to take a couple of seconds here. Sorry about that. Nick Kurtz, you saw he hit 4 home runs. He went 6 for 6, 4 home runs, a billion RBIs in one game. Greatest offensive game in history, many are saying. And now Topps has created this one of one swoosh. I never say it right. Never feel right. It never feels right coming out of my mouth. Um, Game worn pants, which I always think is weird, but it's pretty cool. I'm, I think that Topps now is a pretty brilliant addition by Topps. For all the criticism I have of Topps, there are some good things, and we'll talk about some good things here in this episode. Uh, and I guess we're going to reload because I'm using a really crappy laptop, so be patient with me. And it's just a pain. Premier Kicks and Collectibles sold just a week before Nick Kurtz Steel 100 and Base Auto, $130 shipped for the pair a week before, and then he shares it again saying this was unfortunate timing. Yep. Uh, I want to pause for a second. Bear with me here because we're going to fix this. Yeah, let's see if my browser can handle this now. Um, and we're back. And they then say, friends don't let friends buy Nick Kurtz cards today. That's right. When a player especially a rookie, has a massive, massive game like this, don't go out and buy their cards the next day. Just don't do it. Wait, they're going to come back down. If you do, though, you should, of course, protect them using the Penny Sleever products. Penny Sleever is the best in the industry. I'm sponsored by the Penny Sleever, and they have every supply you can imagine, even for your unusually sized vintage cards. They have thicker card sleeves. They have regular card sleeves. They have slab bags. I use everything I need from the Penny Sleever. You can use my code JWH2025 for 10% off your first order at thepennysleever.com, and you should. All right, here's an update from a couple weeks ago. PSA folded this check of Larry Doyle. You may remember this. This is actually anyway. So he made a big stink of it, and they have since unfolded it, put it in a bigger holder, and provided him with $100 to rectify the damage, not to rectify it, but to make it right, I guess, which is probably the best you're going to get from this. So good on PSA. And then I also talked about Bryce, who um, this is remember this is the Anthony Hardaway card that how do I already forget this? Oh yeah, they decertified it after giving it a PSA 8 because they said that the serial number didn't look right. But finally, after weeks, they have been provided. PSA worked with eBay and he received a full refund. So good here as well. And what I'll say is this isn't PSA doing the right thing necessarily, although they do ultimately. But this is people creating a stink in the hobby, creating an uproar, an outrage cycle that PSA can't help but ignore, except in the backyard breaks thing. Anyway, and ultimately they do the right thing because we make a stink about it and tag PSA and Nat Turner and Ryan Hogue a billion times. All right, here's the meat of this story. Well, this and Topps Chrome. So last Monday, Geoff Wilson and Sports Card Investor created a massive marketing campaign about how they're about to change the hobby forever. And it was like they were fixing something, and Jeff kept saying the word icky, which is a very strange thing for a grown man to say. There's something been icky about the hobby for a long time, he kept saying. And you could tell it was something PSA related, but he didn't say ever what it was going to be for the first 48 hours. He said, on Wednesday, we released this, which also is Topps Chrome release day. Uh, and a lot of people were speculating that there's something he was going to fix in the hobby. Well, it turns out he's creating his own repack. Sports Card Investor repack product is coming, and it's called Graded Grails. It's certified by PSA. It's the first PSA certified. And somewhere here, yeah, he says Graded Grails makes history as the first PSA certified repack. I, I don't know if this is making history, you guys. I just think it's really silly marketing. But it is. This is all marketing. Every card is authenticated by PSA. Every checklist is verified by PSA. Every box is packed under PSA supervision. Every card placement is known only to PSA. So if you trust PSA, man, you're golden. Checklists and odds are fully disclosed. The chase cards are grail worthy, and floor price is fair. Look, I think. Hang on one second. When I was a kid and there were a lot of people walking around and talking, my dad would always say, "It's Grand Central Station in here." And that's what I feel like as a dad. I've got to say this. Uh, Sorry about the delays here. Uh, I think that repacks are potentially a better open, a better rip than actual wax at this point. Is if you are using reliable, good repack companies. The vast majority of them I don't know, but there are some out there where I look at them and I look at the hits and I look at the floor and I look at the ceiling, and if they're being honest, and that's a big if, then you can check. And we're going to get into that some of that with Sports Card Investor. You might do better than with ripping wax. I think that repacks, if done well, can be good. Um, I would never do them, just to be clear. That's an important distinction. I never have. I've done plenty of breaks, but I've never done a repack. I sometimes I look at them and I think that's pretty tempting, but ultimately I don't do it because I prefer singles. Um, so Collect did a nice breakdown of this, and they say that um, the product can be shipped to the repacker, which would be Sports Card Investor in this case, or PSA can facilitate drop shipping to customers. And it sounds like this is going to be a new thing that PSA does, where they partner with various companies for repacks, and PSA certifies them. Trust in the hobby is everything. PSA has helped to facilitate the massive growth of the hobby over the last 5 years by creating a standardized, reliable, and consistent understanding of authenticity and quality through grading. As repacks continue to gain momentum, the same needs to exist for repacks, and I agree with that. There, I think that in the grand scheme of things, having a third-party authenticator of repacks is probably a good thing. It's odd to me that PSA is that authenticator. And by the way, here's something from almost a year ago, last September, Hobby Champs. This is Brad. He tweeted almost a year ago, a third-party service that packs, prices, lists, and opens and ships your repack. You send them the cards, they do all the work, take a percentage, and sell at a price that gets you to the percentage you request. They don't rip until you sell out, everything done live. It's like Sports Card Investor and PSA were just reading Brad's tweets. What are the chances of this? Zero, of course, but he came pretty close to nailing it. And people were trying to figure out what could this amazing fix for the hobby be that Geoff is marketing, hardcore marketing everywhere. And then it was a big letdown. Like this guy says, Coastal Car Connector says, collector. Well, this was a massive letdown. Here, I thought we were going to solve actual issues with grading transparency. The hobby didn't evolve; it just got better at marketing. And then Jeff defends himself. He was defending himself a lot. I don't think he was expecting the blowback. I think he was expecting to just be, everybody to be, yay, good job, Jeff. He says, I think you're missing the point. The big deal here is PSA Repack Cert, which will help clean up $1 billion part of the hobby that is currently filled with scams. And man, did he trash a lot of other repackers without naming names. He says, I think making the hobby more transparent, honest, and fair for collectors is really important. And Coastal Card Collector says, you pitched this as hobby reform, but it was a bait and switch. This was marketing has changed. What we got was a polished repack. That's not fixing the problem. It's branding it better. Yes, call it what you want. It's not reform, it's marketing. Nailed it. Actually, did Jeff respond to this one? No. Uh, People have already pointed out some of the cards are not 45% of the purchase price, as you indicated. So where are the comps coming from? And Jeff says the market has moved on some since we acquired them, some upwards and some downwards. That always happens. Yes, I have no doubt that some have moved upwards. The downwards ones are far more common because that's just what happens when you're buying ultra modern cards. The vast majority of them are going to move down if they are brand new. It's just what happens. There are some of them that are going to hit, and I'm going to cover some that hit big time in this episode. And those are the exciting ones. Those ones that get the most marketing. The ones that don't are the ones that go downwards because those ones are more common and they're less newsworthy, I guess. So, yes. Yeah. This person says, not really a knock, and they use 45% floor at the time the card was acquired. This shows just how difficult these products are to pull off and actually provide any sort of value to the end buyer. So the recent sale, Jeff bought it at $900. This is a Jackson Churio Gem Mint 10, $900, and then uh, this is Chrome Gold. Another one sold a month later for $200 less, and so they're using the $900 comp when there's actually a more recent comp that's significantly less. All right, two of these guys in there, which is Curtis Mead autograph PSA 10, probably top out at $50 to $60 if auctioned today. There are a lot of these examples. Gavin Stone Green Auto, $40 to $60 is a PSA 10, numbered to 99. A lot of these examples. Julio Rodriguez, actually, we're going to get to this one, but I'm just going to cover it now. PSA 9 of this J Rod PSA 10, which sold recently at $52. The 9 is there's a PSA 9 in the repack. The 10 sold for $52. The 9 roughly is valued at $20 to $25. That brings the floor down to about 7% on a $299 pack. And every pack is one card, $299. So you might end up with a PSA 9 J Rod rookie worth $20 to $25. And if you're just a collector and that's what you're looking to do is spend $300 on a $20 to $25 card, that's fine. My point here, I always get these comments. We're not ripping packs as investments. No, but when you are paying $300 for one card, you hope to get a better return than 7%. At least I would. And I'm not an investor. I'm not ripping packs to sell them all and make more money. But you definitely don't want to buy a $50 blaster and end up with $3 worth of cards. Although I'm just using round numbers to make it simple. I know blasters aren't $50 yet. I did refresh all these. Quite a few more examples. In 432, the least expensive cards in this series average around 45% of the manufacturer suggested retail price. Here's an Aaron Judge PSA 9 Topps Chrome Home Field Advantage is in there, $135. Those actually are worth about $70 to $75, and they're claiming that it's worth 135 here, but it's really worth half that. Just be careful when you're buying repacks. Be careful. Do some research. Here's another tough one on the checklist. This one we already talked about. Sorry about all these refreshes. An early look at the checklist is filled with stuff like, oh, I see, I've already covered this. Sorry. I probably have a few of these in here, just to be honest, because there is a lot going on with this repack and with Topps Chrome. Repacks are so popular right now because the cost and ROI on wax from the big manufacturers is so terrible. This is Firehand Cards. I don't know them, but this is a good tweet. It's 100% a gambling thing. If cost and ROI was the important driving force, people would just buy singles. Yes. Frankly, the build up and whole announcement is a joke and really embarrassing for the hobby. Correct. Jeremy Lee responded, yeah, I thought we were getting something with a little more gravity. Fool me once, I guess. Uh, oh, and he said, I guess regulation has officially arrived in the hobby, and the regulator PSA now certifying repack products. They're not just grading the cards, they're verifying the checklist, overseeing the pack out, and certifying fairness. It's brilliant by PSA. Progress or conflict of interest, or a bit of both? How do we feel about this? Let me know your thoughts. Um, I don't trust PSA. This is here for Astros. I don't know this person either. I don't trust PSA to act with integrity in their primary business, so I sure don't trust them in repacks. For those of you that don't question their integrity, do you just chalk it up to incompetence? How does that play out with repacks? Great questions. Uh, all right, we have this really interesting breakdown, and I didn't fact check this, but 432 boxes, as they announced, at $300 each means $130,000 in total revenue. The major Grail cards, 3 cards, about $1,700 each based on recent comps, $1,500 for 9 Grails based on a sampling of comps. Case hit 24 cards at a $500 value. And then what he calls repacked fodder, the other 396 cards. So you have uh, 36 cards that are worth roughly more than what you're paying. The other 396 of them are worth less than half, $135. Less than half of what you're paying for it, I mean. Expected value of product is $195, which means a loss of $100 versus what you paid, which was $299. Uh, yeah, that's that's right. And then Geoff Wilson says your math is way off. The average card value is significantly above what you list. And M&T says it's taken from your site. Correct it if you think that's the case. Jeff says 396 cards at $135 isn't close to correct. Many, many cards more valuable than the floor. Let's find some. You've got 2 of these in there, and then uh, those cards are worth 125, $140. And then Jeff stopped. I believe he stopped defending himself, and this guy's going through a lot of examples of cards that are worth 150-ish bucks. Ryan Stadler makes a good point. There shouldn't be a comp price of fair current market value listed where the data wasn't derived more than 2 weeks before product release. Yeah. And then Ashley, Junkwax Queen, out of curiosity, I checked comps on the checklist. This turned out to be the case for more than a few. Here's Ken Griffey Jr. This was bought from PSA eBay store, likely by Sports Card Investor, but it's just an interesting thing that a lot of people are saying is a conflict of interest. And this is one of the cards that's in there, 125 bucks it cost, and they're selling it for 299 in a repack. Uh, yeah. And of course it was unlikely to actually be PSA that's selling it, even though PSA didn't own it, right? It came from somebody's vault at PSA. At the very least, it speaks to how intertwined the ecosystem has become. This is Jeremy Lee talking. Grading, vaulting, marketplace, and now repacks doesn't mean something shady happened, but it does highlight why independence and transparency matter more than ever. And this is perfectly said. There is likely nothing shady happening, but that transparency is so important, and we don't have it. And then Acme Packs says it best. This has attracted an overwhelmingly negative response from the community. I truly don't believe it would have gotten the response it has if they had just said, hey, we created a new repack with PSA with more transparency than a lot of other products out there. We understand repacks aren't for everyone, but if you like them, try ours out. Instead, they marketed it as a massive hobby innovation that was going to change the game of how we collect. In return, annoying the large percentage of collectors who hate repacks and expected something else. That's right. If they had just come out and said, hey, we have this new repack, and here's why you should try it if you're into repacks, I don't think the reaction would have been as negative as it is. But uh, negative attention is better than no attention, is I'm guessing the philosophy that Geoff is going by here. All right, let's get into 2025 Topps Chrome. This came out this week, and a lot of big hits immediately. In fact, a couple of them before the product even released, as we always see here. A lot of people complaining about Topps Chrome, as we see every year, that the value isn't there and certain players are missing. We're going to get to that. But first, actually, we're out of order, so I'm sorry because there's so many tabs. We have a Chris Sale and Tarek Skubal gold dual patch, and I actually have another one, but this was pulled by Chomp's Live Break. I've never heard of them, but uh, yeah, I actually have a photo of the card itself here somewhere. Patience, and I will show it. Same thing with Chris Sale, already pulled. And then here is the Tarek Skubal gold. I think these look amazing. And originally, the announcement of these said that they were going to wear them all season long, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. Apparently, they wore them for a while in the first half of the year, and then they were pulled off and added into Topps Chrome cards. Now, the Luis Heel, who got Rookie of the Year, doesn't have a card yet with the gold logo man because he hasn't played in the game yet this year. And they're saying that as soon as he does, he'll have a card, maybe an update, is my guess. Here's Chris Sales. Let's make it so you can see the whole card. They all have on-card autos. I think they look great, to be quite honest. And here's the dual logo man with Chris Sale and Scooble. And the dual logo man, Shohei Judge MVP. We're going to talk a little bit more about Judge and MVP this year, too. Five in the first day of release, 5 of the 35 gold logo man cards had already been pulled. I'll show a few more of those. Here's the Shohei MVP one. Wonder how much these are going to be worth. I'll be following these as we start seeing sales of these. And there's the, yeah, I've already shown that one. There's the Paul Skeens was pulled as well. They come as redemptions because they're not going to put the giant patch cards in boxes. And here's the guy's face when he pulled the Otani 1 of 1 logo man. And he just stared silently. It was pretty funny. All right, here's the MVP buyback. As always, MVPs from 2025 Topps Chrome can be exchanged for store credits. Current odds, and this was as of a few days ago, 23rd, yeah, so 4 days ago. Judge was the MVP favorite at the time. Rally, of course, second. Otani, followed by Pete Crow Armstrong for NL. Now, since then, of course, Judge is on the IL, IR. What is it called now? I still call it the DL. Judge went on the disabled list, injured list, whatever. Uh, and Raleigh has become the favorite. We're gonna come back to that. Oh, here it is. Cal Raleigh isn't in 2025 Topps Chrome. Why? Uh, is it because they plan on putting him in update and they're going to do Topps Chrome update buyback and they want to market update with a massive player like Cal Raleigh who has 40 home runs already, which is crazy. I don't know. This this is a little out of order, but Topps Chrome A lot of people ripping and saying this is terrible. He ripped a case of 2025 Topps Chrome, paid over $2,500 for the case. Absolute disaster of a product you put out this year. Topps. My friend Ryan says, quick question. Why? Yeah, people love it though. I don't criticize people for opening packs that they love. Topps has made a few posts about this, and I think PSA actually posted that it had been graded. Topps last year said no one has pulled this 2018 Bowman Chrome Shohei Ohtani card, and sure enough, it has been. It was graded quite a while ago. Like uh, somebody said 70 million, 70 mil. The certain number for that Shohei is 70 million-ish old, so it's been graded for a while. Yeah. Remember how Topps didn't put Cal Raleigh into the base set of 2025 Topps Chrome? Boy, it'd be a shame if Topps were dumb enough not to include an MVP winner while marketing their MVP buyback program. Now that Judge is out. Jacob Misiorowski caught on security camera pulling a rare number to 25 auto. I believe it was number 25. Somebody can correct. Oh, no, it's right there. Yep, 25. And then he actually, it wasn't an auto. It's just a number to 25. And then he signed it and inscribed it hit in shop, which is pretty fun. Shohei and Judge dual autograph logo man was hit in shop. Neo's local shop. Crow Armstrong also excluded from 2025 Chrome, and card purchaser says, yeah, they needed more room for pitcher autos. This was a weird post. 2025 Topps Chrome James Wood red rookie auto number to 5 just sold on eBay for $3,000. And then she says comp experts are valuing this card anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. Safe to say someone scored a massive deal. What is a comp expert and how do you become one? Maybe just a crazy thing to say here. Maybe since this is a comp, the value is $3,000. Just a thought. And she says, when I said comp experts, because a lot of people were asking, I meant people who are way more experienced than the average collector. Some of them are doing millions in buying and selling and have a much deeper understanding of the card market, doing this full time as a job. Except this is a brand new product. And it sold for 3,000. Do they know what cards are going to start selling for? I don't know. Hulk Hogan passed away this past week, and the death tax or death bump, I guess is probably more accurate, has happened already. 268 on Wednesday before he passed. 268 of his cards sold on eBay for an average of $40. The day his death was announced, 15,000 Hulk Hogan items sold. Average price $74. Now, you could easily say, well, more valuable items sold, potentially, but it's just an interesting little data point. Oh, this is crazy. So here, let's just show you the top one. He bought this guy. Who is this? Ryan Kotajärvi, maybe? Bought this Star Trek Benedict Cumberbatch card. Beautiful blue autograph here. PSA 8. And he received this with a non-blue autograph. Bought it from Monmouth Cards, who has not responded yet. And it is the same card. It is the same cert. And if you compare the autographs, it is very clearly the same. And people are saying that's a different card. That's a different card. It's not. It's the same. What's happened here is somebody bought this card, left it out in the sun. This is just speculation on my part. Left it out in the sun, and then when they realized the autograph had faded pretty significantly, they went to sell it. And instead of taking a picture of the card as is, they used the PSA scan. Curious what you think about this as a tactic. I believe this is very shady, but that's there's no, as far as I know, there is no response from the seller, Monmouth Cards. Yes, Matthew Hendler writes, keep your autos out of the light. He saw this on eBay. This is an Albert Pujols 2001 Bowman autograph. And you can see it is very faded. NSCC, a lot of people are upset about this. This is, if you go to the map, the interactive map, and just type in Pokemon, shown below is roughly 50 or so out of 600 vendors that will have Pokemon. Now, these pins make it look way worse because the pins are way bigger than the tables. There are 50 expected to have non-sports and TCG out of 600. So that's what, like 8% of tables will have Pokemon and non-sports. I'm okay with that. But a lot of people see this and say, oh, it's overrun by Pokemon. It does look like that. But thanks to Ben Burrows for a little perspective. 2031 Topps Chrome. Topps is announcing Cooperstown Calls, which will first appear in 2025 Topps Chrome. The blue, number to 150, will be in this year's collection. Then each year, another card in the rainbow releases. And here you see the Ichiro Cooperstown Calls. And then in 2031, will feature 7 different Hall of Fame classes, including the one-of-one Superfractors from the 2025 class. I think this is cool. It's a way to get you to buy cards from each year. Now, I would buy the singles. If I were in the market for any of these guys, I would buy the singles and not the boxes, but you do you. It appears this is the legend, Auburn 35. Topps is, and their printing company are working on incorporating a large sticker auto into the production of cards. And you can see here, it appears that they're going to cover the entire card with a sticker, unless I'm misunderstanding something here. So we want sticker autos to go away. Topps wants to make them bigger. Okay, the Wilt Chamberlain that sold for $1.7 million last year, that was it was found in the back of an old grocery store. Here it is right here. Before it got graded, it was graded with SGC a 10, and then it got crossed PSA as a 10. This is going to be a documentary, and here it is. It's going to be a documentary on the card. I'll be curious to see if the owner, the new buyer, is in there. I'm guessing he will be. All right. Remember last week we talked about the Brett Lemieux situation with he took his own life after outing his massive memorabilia scam, autograph scam. Well, he was on the radar of Indiana prosecutors for a decade. And it's huge. I mean, between 500 and 700 million dollars. And then we also have Indiana Pops say they've been investigating Mr. Man Cave since February. So it's a fairly short investigation, I would guess, before they started raiding his warehouse. Was that 5 months? Uh, we already talked about this. Jacob Misiorowski's 2022 Bowman Chrome Draft Pick Superfractor Prospect Auto 1 of 1 PSA 10. Man, this is a mouthful. Current bid, and I'm not allowed into Fanatics Collect. They won't reset my password, so I can't actually go and see where this stands now because this was almost a week ago. They either won't or can't unlock my password and unlock my account because of who knows. It's bonkers how you can't get anybody there to actually help you. And I've chatted with them and they say, oh, you need to remove your phone number. Yes, I would love to remove my phone number from my account if you would let me into my account. But here it is. Somebody bought this, held on to it, and they're going to make a fortune. Brilliant timing. We're just going to Oh yeah, so PSA posted this. This is a PSA 5, and it looks better than many of the 10s. It is immaculate. Eye appeal was everything for the new owner of this 1986 Fleer, Michael Jordan. So you might say that they bought the card and not the grade. Sold for $6,050 on eBay. Highest auction price for PSA 5 example since 2025. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder why this one in particular is the highest auction price for PSA 5. Could be because card looks awesome and it has nothing to do with grade. Just a thought. This is Adam Gray, great tweeter, Xer. Yesterday's autograph style. Here's Dikembe Mutombo. Amazing autograph. Amazing. And then Jonathan Kuminga, today's autograph. Both on one card. It's interesting. Darren Ravel. Two massive Ozzy Osbourne tickets have landed on eBay. One of them is when he urinated on the Alamo cenotaph, which is yeah, I don't know what cenotaph is. Urinating on the Alamo. I don't know, man. Whatever. The other one, though, famous bat biting show. And this one is not graded for some reason, but I guess somebody probably never thought to get it graded and then he passed away and they're like, oh, wait, I have this ticket stub. And it's a perfect time to sell. 1998 Skybox EX 2001 Essential Credentials now. Dan Marino, 8 of 8, PSA 7. Sold for $45,600. Here's the card. It's a cool looking card. These cards were great. The price dropped from $108,000 in October. Sold for $108,000 in October, $45,000 this past week. Is it as simple? People are asking why? Why? Is it as simple as the person who bought it was no longer in the market for it, and they were the only one battling with the person who bought it this time back in October? So in October, two people were fighting for this card, and they bid it up to $108,000. And the person who ended up buying it that day was obviously no longer in the market for it because they were buying it. And the second highest bidder in October was the high bidder now because nobody else wanted to pay that much for it. Just a thought. Is it that simple? It could be. We talked about this pristine SGC gold label Jordan a few weeks ago, and they are estimating this to go for $800,000. I will be keeping an eye on it. It's currently at $220,000, which is more than the average PSA 10, but there's still 4 weeks remaining on this one. Actually, with buyer's premium, it's 268. So I'll be keeping an eye on this in the coming weeks. Remember, no clearing the bases next week. I'm just going to run these through real quick. I know I can do Alt-Shift-R, but I don't want to do that because it will refresh this browser, this StreamYard too. Caitlin Clark, Flawless Logo Woman, sold for $660,000 Thursday night. Most expensive card of a female athlete. Here's the card. Whoops. It's going to actually open it. Here it is. And she inscribed it 769 points and counting. She's having a bit of a down year, but still, people are gaga for Caitlin Clark. And then Collect does this graphic. Caitlin Clark has 8 of the top 10 women's card sales ever. Serena Williams has number 4 at 266,000. She also has number 9 at 163,000. The other 8 are of Caitlin Clark, and all have come in the last year or so. I believe I still hold the record for the highest SI for Kids autograph on her 2021. SI for Kids sold for around $2,000. Still haven't seen another one surface or sell for higher. And the SI for Kids Serena Williams PSA 10, there's population of 9. One of them sold for $117,000 in 2022. Last night, it sold for $9,900. What a drop. Uh, all right, this is James Kehoe of CGC SI. Great, great account for magazine grading, things like that. Yeah, this country music magazine from 1974 with Eddie Arnold on the cover. No big deal, except this was Johnny Cash's subscription country music magazine. And CGC acknowledged from the collection of Cindy Cash. Subscription label with care of addressed to Johnny Cash attached to cover. That's cool. The person says tops cooked with these black geometric refractors number to 10. I agree. These look great. This is the password in the Red Sox system. That's his nickname. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I know I'll get it wrong. Topps announces they are again partnering with the estate of Bob Ross to create these incredibly special PSA or MLB trading cards, The Joy of Baseball, releasing Thursday at the National, or during while everybody's at the National. This great looking card, one of one. Astro Vaults. Bought this. I think this is a white sparkle Zion rookie. Bought it as reasonable at a reasonable price. Decided to check out how much it sold for at the peak. And yeah, here's one, $41,000 for a Beckett 9. Back when Beckett was still selling for big money. 41,000. Now they go for 456. I think I've covered this one before, but it's a great patch. Joey Votto. Love that patch. Last week I said SGC is still dead. Long live SGC. And Blue Odom had this great comment. We are in the zombie SGC phase. Yeah, they're dead, but they're still trudging on as a brand. And when I say they're dead, I just mean they're not. There are three things that SGC is beloved for: their turnaround time, their slabs, and their consistency in grading. The turnaround time is gone. The consistency in grading, I've heard anecdotally that it's not as consistent as it was before. Slabs are still the way they were. I'm guessing that they will stay that way. There might be some tweaks to them, but we'll see. All right, this person, WNY Cards on Reddit, said he pulled Beck Way's 2021 first Bowman Superfractor on Thursday, reached out to him, and he had been chasing the card for 4 years. By some miracle, he was playing in Buffalo against the Bisons, and apparently this person must be a WNY, I'm guessing, nearby. Card pulled on Thursday and in his hands by Sunday. And here's Beck Way, gave him the superfractor. And in some cases, I think, man, that card could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in Beck Way's case, that is not the case. He is 25. He's about to turn 26 years old. And he is, and no disrespect, I mean, this is amazing to get to AAA, let alone even play college D1. Uh, he is in AA, and he's no longer a prospect. So, full story. This was a long episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be at the National next weekend. No clearing the bases, but I might do it Monday, seeing how I feel. It'll depend. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you all very soon.